In this presentation, we're going to make bank rules related to amount limits with regards to bank fees. In other words, we're going to set up one rule that tells the system, hey, look, system, I would like you to take this transaction from the bank feed, assign it to this account if it's under a certain dollar limitation. Set up another rule that's saying, hey, look, account, this is what we'd like you to do if we have this same vendor, but the amount is over this particular dollar limitation. Get ready to go because here we go with Xero. Here we are in our Triple G company dashboard. We're going to start off by opening up our income statement, go into the accounting drop down and on down to that income statement. Once opened, we're going to duplicate the tab by mousing over that tab up top, right clicking on it and going on down to the duplicate. We're then going to change the date. I'm going to change the date, just the beginning date. We're working in the month of May, so I'm going to make this in May 1st. May 1st, I went too far. May 1st, and then the ending, we don't have anything after May, so that should be good to go. So that's what we have thus far. We're going to go on back to the first tab, then go to the accounting drop-down. We're looking at our bank accounts. We're going to be considering, of course, those bank feeds in the checking account. We have 31 of them left. We're going to go ahead and select those 31 items in the checking account. I'm going to hold down control, scroll up just a bit to get to that 125 because that's the best place. That's the zoom that I like to see. And then I'm going to go over to our information in Excel that we have sorted. And I'm just going to search for the transactions by like transactions to consider the next thing we want to do. So let's make this a little bit larger. I'll make this a little bit larger over here. And this is the one I'm looking for, these Home Depot ones. Now, we're going to say that most of the time when we go to Home Depot, it's going to be in office supplies or supplies that we're buying or something like that. We'll take it to a standard account. Maybe if you do jobs or something like that, you put it to a particular expense for the jobs or with something. But if it's over a certain dollar amount, then you're going to say, hey, that might be something that I need to capitalize. Maybe I bought a large piece of equipment at that point, and I don't want to put that into the same place. So I want to say, hey, look, I would like to set a dollar limitation at some point so that anything I purchase over that dollar limitation, at least you'll warn me and say, hey, do you want to put this in another account other than the expense account? Is this something that possibly you need to capitalize? Because typically, even for taxes, even if on a cash basis, if we buy something over a certain dollar amount, we typically need to capitalize it and put it on the books as an asset and then depreciate it. So we want like a warning about that, and then everything that's under the certain dollar amount we'll put to a particular account, which I'm just going to say is office supplies. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to look for these Home Depot transactions then. So if I go back up top, I'm looking for the Home Depot transactions. So if I see, here's one. Now I'm going to make a rule based on this to help it to create a transaction as we go. So I'm going to go to the options drop down and I'm going to create a rule. I think this is the easiest way to create a rule, is actually get this transaction, let it create kind of the rule for you, and then adjust it. We're in the spend money rule, of course, as opposed to the receive money, because this is money going out. Now up top, now we have when money spent on bank statement matches. So you could have it matching all of these transactions in order to apply this, or all of the rules down below in order to apply this, or you could say you only need to have any of these. Now normally I often go down to any, because it's more broad, and that's usually what you often need for a rule. You're like, I want to pick it up. I want this rule to be picked up. This time I'm going to use all transactions, or all rules need to be in effect in order to pick this up. Then the first one says the payee is blank. I don't need that. I'm going to X it out. I could add the second rule I want here, but I'm going to X this out just to show you how to X that out. And then the description equals, and it may not need to equal it. It may need to just contain it. So this is the general rule I would apply, whereas you can probably be more broad than more stringent, because anything that has Home Depot in it probably is gonna be somewhere I want this rule to apply. And then I'm going to add another rule. I'm going to add another condition. That condition is going to be related to an amount. So I'm going to pick up the amount for this rule, and then I can say if it's equal, again, very stringent rule if you have it to be equal, but maybe that would apply at some point. If it's greater than or equals, if it's less than or equals. And I'm going to say less than or equals. So if it's less than or equals, and I'm going to say $1,000. So I want you to apply this rule then. If you see Home Depot and it's an amount that's less than or equal to $1,000, if it's not, then you don't apply this rule, and we'll think about whether or not we need to capitalize it, because the dollar amount is getting over the point where we may think about capitalizing. Now, this is just an arbitrary number, 1,000. That's not a rule that you should take into when you need to capitalize or not. This is just, just for bankroll purposes. So use whatever you think is a threshold that might be something that you want to look into to consider if you're considering that for capitalizing or not. The contact will be, and then I'm just going to put Home Depot here. So we'll add that as the contact if we don't have it thus far, if we don't have it yet. And then if we need to apply a certain amount out, we would use this. We're going to use just one, right? We're going to apply the whole amount to one account. And that's just going to be office supplies. I'm going to put office supplies here. And I know that would be more like Home Depot or Office Depot than Home Depot, but you get the idea. So this is going to be going to office supplies. There we have it. No rate. So there's the 100%. Set the reference. I'm going to keep that as is. Target a bank, and it's going to be just the checking account. So we could do this to the checking account or all accounts if you want to pick up the credit card as well. I'm just going to keep it for the checking account as of now. The rule name is going to be Home Depot, and you might want to say under $1,000, right? Under. It has an N in it. Under. So there we have it. Now let's go ahead and save that. It should then apply our rule. So we have our rule then applied. So let's check it out. So if we go on down, we say, okay, here's a rule applied. That looks good. And it's applying our rule. This isn't a suggestion. It's a rule. So we're going to create this. It'll create the transaction as we go. So we're going to create that transaction. It creates it and then matches it out. So it's been reconciled, of course. Going to go down and see if this applies anywhere else. And we're looking for that other Home Depot too. So anywhere I find Home Depot, even if the rule didn't apply. So here it is. It applied. It's under 70. It's under 1,000 here, and it's Home Depot. So it applied out the rule. Good job. Nice work. I'm going to check that one off. Everything's going as it should. And then I'm going to go to the next page here. And let's scroll on down. We're looking for Home Depot. Home Depot. Here's one. It applied out the rule because it's under 1,000. So that looks good. I'm going to say okay. Done. And here's one's over 1,000. And it still is picking up the rule. Or notice this is not a rule. This is a suggestion. So note that if you didn't have the rules on down here, if you turn off the suggestions and I go back up top, then it's not there, right? I don't have that one anymore. So you want to basically be able to distinguish between the suggestions and the rules. And note, I think that's a really good deal for working with somebody else. If you work with somebody else, you can say, hey, look, I'll use the suggestions to set up the rules. Once they're set up, I want you to run by the rules and not the suggestions. And that way, if someone else is working on that, they won't accidentally kind of pick that one up. You could say, no, you're just working with the rules, not the suggestion. This one doesn't have a rule. Why? Because it's over a certain dollar amount, and I want to look at that now. I want to look at it if it's over the dollar amount to consider whether or not it should be an expense or should it be capitalized. And if I want to make a rule for it to be capitalized, then I'll do so here. I'm going to say, let's set up another rule for this same vendor. I'm going to create a bank rule from here for the Home Depot. And this time, it's going to be same deal. I'm going to remove the first item. It's going to be, I'm going to say it doesn't have to equal it, but it contain Home Depot in it. We're going to have another rule related to it. This time, however, it'll be an amount rule. That's the same. This time, however, it'll be for the amount that is less than and not equal to. Otherwise, we'd have overlap, right? Because the last time, I'm sorry, this one was greater than and not equal to. Because last time we used less than and equal to. So, greater than 1,000. So this time it doesn't include the 1,000 is the point. That way we don't have an overlap between the two rules. And then if I go down, the contact will be, it's going to be Home Depot again. So Home Depot. And then the description, I'll just put, Home Depot. And this is going to be capitalized. And then it's going to go to a fixed asset, not an expense now. I'm going to say this is a depreciable thing if it's over that amount, right? I'm just going to make that as a general rule. Again, don't follow this as ask your accountant or whatever what the cutoff should be, or this is just an example how to set the rule up. So we're gonna say this is gonna go to computer and equipment. I'll keep it there, and there we have that. We'll keep this the same. It's gonna be for the checking account, and I'm gonna say Home Depot over, and then this rule is gonna be over 1,000. So there we have it. Let's save that one. And that should apply out. So now if we keep on going down here, I'm going to say, all right, this one is now applying out. It's the rule over 1,000. That looks good. So now we're okay there. It's not a suggestion, that's a rule. And then we're going to go back down. This is not a suggestion. And then we're going to go to the next one and scroll back down. See if we have any more Home Depots down here. Any more Home Depots? Home Depot? Nope, no more. So then if we go to the income statement, see what happens up top. We're going to update the income statement. Then we have those items, of course, that were included in the office supplies. So within the office supplies, we should have these items. The other side, of course, being in the balance sheet and the checking account. So if I go back down here, all right, so there's the Home Depot items there and one Office Depot. Then if I go back to the prior tab, let's go ahead and look at the balance sheet. I'll just make it the balance sheet. I don't think we need to come back here, so I'll just make the balance sheet here. Because the other side went to the balance sheet, because it went into an asset account on the balance sheet. So then we'll change the date up top. Let's change that date to, it was in May. We're doing this stuff in May, so we'll make it May 30th and update that date. And then it's going to be here. So that other one went to computer and office equipment if it's over a certain dollar amount. So again, Home Depot might be not office equipment, but some other, construction equipment or something like that. But you get the general idea. Here it is increasing the asset, and we would then depreciate it at that point in time. So that rules. That's it for now. Let's get out of here.